Hello, my name is Jim Mulholland, and I'll be your instructor this semester for BAS240, Data Structures for Analytics. This brief video will actually go over the Blackboard site we'll be using and also the syllabus for this semester. I look forward to working with all of you and going through all the content this semester. Just a little background on me. I've been in the information technology field for over 30 years, working in corporate America, working with data and databases, and currently I am Vice President of Analytics at a company locally here in Raleigh that runs clinical trials. So we have lots of interesting data that is about running clinical trials and putting patients through testing of new drugs. So it's an exciting area. So today, let me just briefly go over some important things first. You'll note that the announcement section, every week I'll actually send you guys a welcome email for the week. So please pay attention to that. It'll give you kind of a brief overview of what's covered that week and then kind of what we're going to be covering and what's due. So look for that in your email and also in the announcement section here. First thing you need to do, though, is take note of the course entry quiz. For those of you who've been at Wake Tech, you know what this is, but basically it's the way that they need to record the fact that you actually attended and started this course. It's a quiz that has no impact on your grade for the course, but it's a way that the state can track students in public education. So you need to do that course, as it's noted here, by January 17th, the latest, or I guess they will withdraw you from the course. So make sure you do that right away. All right, so if you've been, again, in the school, you know that there's a standard menu here to the left that has all the different things. Mostly you'll be focusing on these three areas here, which are the discussion boards, the lessons, and the quiz. We will have a discussion most weeks, and they'll appear here when they are available to you. So you'll see week 1 is out here already, and that's due this week. There's also 2 general purpose posting boards. One is Ask the Instructor. And this is where if you prefer to ask something to me that you want others to know the answer to as well, if it's of general interest, then maybe you want to post it here and I can answer it so everybody can see it. Of course, your other choice is always to email me directly with any questions you have, and I can certainly answer them that way. And then secondly is the student chatter forum, which is really for you guys, the students, to interact with each other. Ask questions of each other. I won't be moderating this one to the extent of jumping in and answering. Of course, I will be monitoring for content to make sure that it's appropriate. But other than that, this is a place for you guys to interact and ask questions of each other and get answers. Of course, every week there'll be lessons and assignments. And you'll see here that week 1 is posted out here already. So we'll be able to go into here and see what's due for the week. In general, I'll have the first part of the page look like this, which outlines every day of the week and what's going on. Typically, the discussion post is due on Saturday at midnight, which is the first discussion post, and sometimes there's a follow-up one that's going to be due on Tuesday. So you'll see that the replies are due here. So sometimes there's 2 posts for discussion, sometimes there's 1. And typically, the assignment that is due is always due on the Tuesday of the week. So you'll go through this. There's a lecture portion. There'll be the discussion, and of course the assignment that you have to do. And this week is all about installing Postgre SQL, the tool we're going to be using for the first 9 weeks to learn SQL. Okay, and then last is the quizzes and tests. You may be happy to hear that there's only going to be 1 test. It's going to be the midterm, which is covering SQL. It'll be a multiple choice test, pretty much on week 10, I believe it is. And then after that, we'll cover and move into big data concepts, and there'll be a project that we'll be working on. So really 1 test. There'll be some small mini quizzes, really kind of more to kind of get your understanding going. It's not going to be that tricky. The quizzes they're online and they're written so that it would be easy for you guys to do well on them. But the midterm test will be a bit challenging, and you'll have to really understand and do all the lessons and pay attention to the lectures for SQL to do well in that. So let's go to the syllabus, and you'll find the syllabus under course resources here. You'll see that there's the BAS240 syllabus. So I already have it open over here, so I'm going to click on it. And you'll see that really it's a 60-week course, and here's my email address. So if you need to contact me, this is the way you'll do it. And I really don't really have office hours. I'm an adjunct instructor, so there's really no office hours for me. I do work full time like most of you guys do during the day. So I'll be answering your emails as I can, which is often during the day. I can do that, and certainly at night. Um, there is no textbook. And as I mentioned, the course entry quiz must be completed by you by January 17th. Otherwise, you'll be dropped from the course. And that's a Wake Tech requirement. Okay, so there's usage of Blackboard and all that kind of stuff, pretty standard templated. It is a 3 credit hour course with that prerequisite. And so here's stuff that's you're probably interested in. So here's how the grade is going to be weighted this year. Half of your grade is going to be what you turn in with your labs and assignments. Okay, that's going to be the most impactful thing you do. So be on time, do a good job. Don't try to mail it in, so to speak. I really do go through them and give you comments. I'd like you guys to really learn this tool. SQL is still used many, many places in many instances to query data and to understand data. If you're going to be late with anything, the more time you give me to tell me about your reasons, the better. Don't email me on a Tuesday and say, my laptop crashed or whatever. You really have to be more professional about that. And we all have busy lives. So, if you know you're going to be away for a week and need to get ahead or something, just let me know and we can work something out. I'm pretty reasonable. I know that we have busy lives and a lot of us have jobs. So let's figure this out together. But just don't surprise me with last minute stuff. That always makes it harder for me to kind of find the right answer. 25% of the grade will be the final project, and that'll be over several weeks. That'll be in the big data Hadoop space. We'll do that together. It'd be more of an exploratory type area, and we're not going to get very deep into big data. It's a very large and technical area, but we're going to be getting you guys some exposure to that. It's becoming more and more a factor in business today and analytics to know about big data, so we'll be covering that. The midterm exam is going to be 15% of your grade, so those of you who don't like tests or don't test well, and you don't have to stress it too much because it's not going to be a majority of your grade. It'll still count a decent amount, but it's not going to be anything that's going to necessarily be an overall determining factor. And then last but not least is the discussion board. So every week I'd like you guys to be conversing with each other. And really the way I see discussion board is a replacement for our classroom time, right? We don't really meet together face to face. So the discussion board is a way for us to actually have a conversation. So I would like your discussion board posts to not be cut and paste of things you found, or unless I actually specifically say that's okay. I want to be more of what you would say in class to each other if you were talking, right? So you're not going to be reading from a Google website or something like that, a search website. You're going to be talking in normal language and kind of explaining things to each other. That's what I want your discussion board to be, your own views, your own thoughts about what we're learning and what the question's about, and not, textbook cut and paste kind of thing. That to me is of little value. I want to hear what you have to say about this versus what the book has to say or a website. Here are the grading bands. This is again Wake Tech's grading bands. So in general, here's how I'm going to handle late submissions. Right, the discussion forums are due on Saturday evening, 11:59. If you don't post it by then you will have until Tuesday to post it for 50% credit. So if you don't post it by Saturday, you lose half credit automatically. And if you post it by Tuesday, you'll get half credit if you do it. Otherwise, nothing's allowed after that Tuesday. We move on to the next week, the next forum, and you get 0% credit for that week. The labs are due on, again, 11:59 p.m. on Tuesdays to receive full credit potentially. And then, of course, anything early is great. If you could do it on the weekend, that's awesome. I'll probably grade it ahead of time, and you'll be able to see what you're doing. Now, if you're late with that, this is how it works. So if you submit it on Wednesday, which is 1 day late, there'll be a 5% penalty. If you submit it 2 days late on Thursday, it'll be a 10% penalty, all the way up to maximum of 25% penalty from submitting it on the following Sunday. And then after Sunday, I don't take any submissions for prior week's work. You get a 0. I just can't be grading things that far back. So be on time. Usually it's not that much work. It's usually fit into maybe an hour or two of lab work a week. Again, I don't try to pound you guys with so much, but I do want you to solidify the lessons by actually having in practice work. So do your best to be on time and avoid the late penalties, because it will, as you can see up here, degrade your final average, because it does count 50%. Since there's only one test, and I want everybody to take it at the same time, there's really no late submissions for that. It's going to be due on the week it's due. There won't be any lab work that week. It'll just be a test, and you'll have to do it sometime that week and submit it in. So that will be pretty much the way it'll be for that. All right, so again, a couple pages on campus policies and our college policies and campus resources. Won't go into all those. You guys should be familiar with Wake Tech's instructions on that. So I'll just pass through all that and get right to our weekly schedule here. So this is where it all happens. This is the crux of it. So we're in week 1 now, as you can see. Week starting January 5th. So I talk about the week starting and what we're going to be covering. And in general, we'll be doing SQL for the first 9 weeks, as I mentioned. And then here are the websites we'll be using. And each week, posting in Blackboard will actually have individual links and videos I recorded, so you should have no problem finding the lessons and the content. We'll be going through all kinds of things with SQL, starting with DDL commands and then retrieving data, merging data, what is a primary and foreign key constraint, different data types, advanced SQL topics. This is going to be very interesting. This is going to be something maybe if you've done SQL before, this may be something new that you've not done before. Subqueries and correlated queries. It's a very powerful way to really get some good analytics out of SQL. Without this topic here, a lot of things you want to do would be impossible. So I'm going to teach you that and hopefully give you that in your tool belt to use. And then we'll talk about creating indexes, do some midterm prep, and then week 10 will be the midterm. Then we roll into our semester break, and then we start, 5 weeks or 6 weeks or so, 6 weeks of big data concepts. So we'll have an introduction to big data. We'll talk about Hadoop, HDFS, which is the file system. We'll talk about Hadoop MapReduce, which is the native language, so to speak, built into Hadoop that returns results. Then we'll talk about other parts of the open source Apache Hadoop environment, namely Hive, Pig, and HBase. So again, we're not going to get too deep into these things. We'll have a project that'll give you a taste of each one of these things, and it'll build on each other. Each week there'll be a new task that builds the project up until the final submission. So that'll be your kind of the project that's worth 25% of your grade. All right, so hopefully you understand everything we're doing this semester. Again, I welcome your questions either via direct email to my email address or through the student, the Ask the Instructor on the Blackboard site. And I look forward to a great semester working with you in BAS240. Cheers.